great because these are the topics that are so important.
I'm not gonna I'm gonna be very honest. I'm not that type of person, but I am an open book.
Yeah.
I feel like that's helped me heal.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because then other people are like, oh my gosh, I go through the same thing.
Yeah.
This is horrible, but I'm afraid to,
Yeah.
And I'm just not afraid to just be vocal.
Yeah. When you have so much to share, because I met you when I wouldn't say when it started, but when the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
At the beginning of when it really started to kind of blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And that you had a lot that you were dealing with. And it's incredible.
And I did
props
it all by
to you.
myself. And I got through
it
by myself, which is not healthy, but
you also, you had to do what you had to do.
Yeah.
But you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did it.
Yeah, I'm still here.
You're still here,
Thriving.
your daughter's looking great,
Yeah,
you know.
They're just the best.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't think I was gonna have kids. I actually didn't want to. No.
Maybe you told me this
Remember
before.
I told you I didn't want to. I was very
and now you
much.
have two.
Yeah, I was very much the dancer that's I'm going on tour. I'm doing this, that. I did not. And then it happened, and I wasn't mad about it because we were he was my first real boyfriend.
Wow. Yeah. And you guys were together for 10 years, right? I'm speechless.
Yeah.
Which, if you're gonna have kids, you want it to be with someone you love.
Exactly.
But obviously, it didn't quite work out.
And I think a lot of it has to do with where we live.
In America, or
where we live in America, the fact that we live in Los Angeles, and it's just very high speed, it's expensive, everything is you gotta have that mentality, be that type of person to conquer LA.
Oh, for sure.
And he's not that, but it's okay. There's a lot of people that isn't,
Yeah.
It's fine.
But it's just maybe not fine if you're a dad living in the city with two kids.
Yeah.
You chose the wrong city.
But then also I think about this, and also I'm maybe I was too much for him in the sense of I've always known what I wanted as a child.
Okay.
I went to performing arts school. I was always very in the summertime I went to the summer programs, the ballet summer intensives. So I always knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
So when I came to LA, it was just an easy transition from Texas when I was in the ballet company. It was just easy because I know what I want. I've always known what I wanted. And he found what he wanted, found his desires later in life.
Yeah.
So I feel that has a lot to do with it too. But I feel a lot of women in relationships struggle with that nowadays because a lot of women are powerful and and then the man maybe don't have the same goals or it's not on the same level. So then it kind of makes them feel why do you need me type of thing? But we do need them.
We do. We
do.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I think that's and that was why I've clarified so many times. This is not a man-hating podcast.
No,
this is not a woman take over the world.
I wish that I could go back to my hometown and open up a facility for African American men to go and not seek therapy, but more of a community.
Yeah.
So everyone that, are the same or similar stories or lives
for sure
can come together.
Yeah.
Like a man cave.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
Because we do that as
we
women.
do. Yeah. I mean, we're backstage all the time talking and
and we set things up for ourselves.
Yeah,
and have girls' nights and stuff.
And there's no problem sending these 10-minute voice notes back and forth to support each other. It's natural as a girl.
Yeah. And I feel if we had that more
for men,
it would be helpful.
Yeah.
Because I watched him struggle mentally.
Yeah, I saw that with my ex-husband as well.
Yeah, it was a mental thing, so it was something that was out of my control.
Yeah. You can't, I mean, that's just it. A woman can't understand the struggles of a man, just like a man can't understand the struggles of a woman. And that's why, I'm a big advocate of, in a marriage specifically, you cannot be everything for each other. As a girl or as a woman, you need your girls, and as a man, you need your boys. always. And not having that, like, I don't know about your ex-husband, but I know, like, me and mine, it was just the two of us against the world, you know, for a lot of reasons.
So he didn't have, like...
He didn't, and I didn't. And some of that was my fault. I'll take full responsibility for that. But that was, I think, the number one... No, there were a lot of problems. But in a future relationship, I would always... like, it's essential to me that I always have my girls, and I have to be with someone who has their group of guys. Because you need support.
It's just
Life
balance.
is hard. Yeah.
It's balance.
It's
too,
a lot. It's
a
lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
like, but I mean, I love him, you know. And
how are you guys?
You know, we're fine.
Okay.
Like, it's like, it's just so funny because I'm laughing because I've grown so much, girl.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I mean, I've seen you, but I haven't talked to you in like a year.
I've grown so much, just like as a person, and I'm very understanding.
Yeah.
So instead of like back in the day, I would be very like pointing and this is what you should do. Like, I learned that there was a generational curse.
Yeah,
because the women in my family, they like bash men, they down men.
Okay.
So that's how I was raised. So
Okay.
then when I got with my ex-boyfriend,
Oh, wow.
it was like I had to unlearn a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm happy that happened because like now that I don't live, you know, in Ohio and I'm not around that type of energy.
Yeah.
And then like say if like my mom or someone comes out here with that energy, I like see it. And I'm like, oh my good, like when we were together,
Wow.
oh yeah. And then I would like, when we were together, my mom would come into town and I would see it. And when she leave, I would tell him, I'd be like, babe, I'm sorry. Like I would be so like, cause I would see how my character, like how I was,
Yeah.
I would see that through her.
Wow.
And I knew, and he would always tell me like, I love you. Like I already know that wasn't you. It was learned behavior.
Wow.
You know, so that's why it sucks that like we're in the position that we're in.
Yeah.
Because everything is fine except for financial. And I think it's because of where we live at. Like if I'm trying to like see the positive side of it,
Yeah.
I think it's because I feel like if we lived in like Montana,
Yeah, it's not the
and
same
rent's like,
standard
you know,
of living. Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
So I feel like that on top of, I have major anxiety, but I didn't have it as a kid. I didn't have it when I lived in Austin, when I lived in Cincinnati.
Wow.
I developed it in LA for sure.
Wow.
For sure.
Oh my gosh.
And I
okay.
think it's the industry that we're in.
It's a hard industry. Entertainment
It's like the
is
unknown.
so hard.
I think
Yeah.
that's what it is. I think for artists, it's like the unknown.
For sure.
So that brings little anxiousness.
Yeah.
Even though it always works out.
Yeah, it does.
It always works out.
But it's still so
But
you
we
could make
still have that-
$10,000 tomorrow and then nothing for 5 months. You don't know.
Yeah, you just don't know.
You could be the most talented person, but it doesn't matter because if your one talent is not what's needed at that time, what do you do?
Exactly.
And that's why you got to have 5 talents. You always got to have some kind of other side hustles. Like
Yeah.
you can't just wait.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
crazy.
No, it is crazy.
It's
It is.
crazy.
But what's crazy is now that I have 2 kids.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Like when I had my first, I booked like 3 national commercials within 6 months.
Wow.
So for me, the kids help me. They
Interesting.
motivate me. Like,
Okay.
you know, I'll come home from a long day on set or rehearsals, and I'll completely abandon everything that happened, whether it was good or bad, and I'm so present
Wow.
with my kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And I needed that.
Yeah.
I remember before I had them, I had a dog, and I used to be like, what am I living for? Like, what? Like, I used to, like, I didn't know. And that's why I feel like, you know, universe, God, whoever blessed me with kids, because it's showing me that, like, I do have something to live for, and,
Yeah.
like, you know, like, I can still do what I do.
Yeah,
And
which I'm
have
very
them.
impressed by. Because you
Yeah.
tour still, and you have 2 kids. And you and your ex, you're still separated, divorced, right?
Okay. Yeah, so like we live separate.
Okay.
But like we're still like family.
Okay, so he's still involved with the kids. So you're not full on single mom. He's still
involved with the kids. Like he helps out. Like when I go on tour, or
Yeah.
like if I'm traveling, then he'll watch them.
That's good.
Yeah. So
are you still like taking care of everything financially, pretty much? Like everything? Wow.
Now.
Wow.
Okay. But when he has it,
yes,
he is very giving, there, present.
Okay.
But when he doesn't,
wow.
So that's why I'm just like curious, like, why? You know, like why in America have we developed this?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
It's so true.
Because it's an American thing.
You know what? It's so fascinating you say that, because that happened with my parents. Which the funny thing is, my dad is from China. He is a Chinese man, but he came here, and when the recession happened and he lost his job, he could not provide. He went into a deep depression. He wasn't there for us. Like, it was anytime we did talk to him, it was scary. It was like, oh, dad's coming out, run away. And now, he's working again, and we've grown up already, but now my relationship with him is great. My parents' relationship is great. But it is interesting how if a man needs that purpose. And that's why it's great women can work. I love that women can work because I work. But a man has to work. He has to work.
Especially if you have a family. I just feel like that, okay, so I'm not a firm believer in this is the man role, this is the woman role.
Okay.
I'm more of a believer in this is your duty.
Yeah. You gotta do it.
I'm going to make dinner. Can you go hunt?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm going to have the baby.
Yeah.
I'm going to have it. Can you provide?
Yeah.
Because that's called a team.
Yeah.
That's not called the man does this, the woman does. No, it's called teamwork. But let's do this teamwork together consistently.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? Because as a women, every month we go through emotional.
And it's I just went off birth control and have been re-experiencing what a period is. It is so intense. Like, I've been a woman my whole life, and I am floored every single month for the past year since being off of it. I cannot believe how much blood is coming out and how crazy I feel.
But you know what? It's because of whatever you're going through emotionally.
Yeah.
And I've learned that because because my ex, he's into like health and wellness and like meditation and qigong and everything. And I remember because I'm irregular and because we're really active.
Yeah.
So I remember when we were together, he would hit points on my back, my lower back.
Interesting.
And it would help my period come. So then in the next day, my period will come. So oh my God. It's more of an emotional or some months where if I was drinking lots of water and I was very healthy and my mind was very healthy, I wouldn't my period wouldn't be it would be light. Or it would flow like it's supposed to flow. It wouldn't be it would be very if you're using the restroom just peeing, it would look like that, but just blood. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's how I know, okay, I'm healthy. I'm
that makes I've noticed it's when I'm repressing emotions, I have my period and I explode. But I'm starting to realize that's a good thing because it's something was stuck in me emotionally, needed to come out.
That crazy?
It's bodies are so fascinating.
No.
And I think that was the interesting thing of us talking in the last podcast is this is a natural, healthy thing. And I think in America, we're so scared of emotions now. We've become increasingly, and the thing is, especially for men, they're becoming more and more scared of emotions. And I think that's a big problem we're having. And that's why it's been difficult for men to kind of really rise up and be men.
Yeah, I think that. But where was the shift?
Yeah, what caused that? That's a great question.
I almost want to feel like it's the women and the powerful women, independent, empowered.
Fascinating.
I feel like that kind of trickled down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because one thing I do not like is when women bash men because I just
Yeah,
feel like
I hate
that's
that too.
not gonna help
It's
the situation.
not conducive at all.
You know,
we're just making it worse.
Exactly.
Because the root is their low self-esteem, and you
Exactly.
bash them and bring them down low. How are we like? And women taking over completely, I don't see that as a solution. Personally,
I don't either.
Personally,
because then it makes them feel like, where's my spot in
Yeah.
this whole equation?
because we're taking their whole spot out. And
Yeah, so I think that was the shift.
yeah, and it's interesting you say that because, I think a good amount of the women I bring on are very like, women take over kind of a thing. And, and I'm always a little careful because I'm not that. I come from a very Asian, traditional Christian background. And even though I am very like strong working, independent woman, I still love the dynamic. I was just saying this on the last podcast. The man's the head of the household, the woman's a support. They're equals, very much so equals.
Yeah.
And it's not like a property subordinate thing, but I love a man that can lead. I
Me
love a
too.
man that can be in charge.
Me too.
And so, with you being a mom too, I feel like you probably feel that even more of like you want a man to lead,
I do.
It's hard, and you're a strong woman.
But I don't want to be.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to be.
Yeah. It's like
Let me be demure. Let
Yeah.
me sit and take
the
care of
men
these
in this
kids
culture
and-
have become very princess-like almost.
Yeah.
You have to chase the man now. You have to take care of the man now.
Like be very understanding of their feelings and
Yeah.
are you okay? And
Yeah.
I see you. And it's like
Yeah. And then it's
Like,
hard too if you're a mom also.
Yeah.
You have to take, and that's not to say like I think men need to kind of reconnect with their feelings so they become aware of it.
absolutely. But reconnect and then go to the community that I was telling you
Yeah.
about, the man cave,
Yes.
with others.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do.
Yes. Yeah, because
We're like, oh my
there's
gosh,
so much
girl,
support in
let's
that.
go have a cocktail or let's
Yeah.
go sit by the pool
It's
and have
so
a day, and then we
true.
feel better.
Yes, we feel better.
Instead of
We have more to
projecting.
give. Like we realize, oh, we're in this together. Like that was a big reason why I chose to say I move every single year, and this is the first year I've signed a lease in the same building because of our team, really.
Okay.
And having those girls as my support, I've never had that in my whole life. Like a team of girls. Yeah, I did not realize
It's
how
hard
starved.
to find in LA.
It's
Well, it's hard
hard
to find, period. in
It,
life.
it's hard. Yeah, girls can be mean.
Yeah, girls are mean.
So, and it's hard to find, especially as artists. And
Yeah.
let's be real. In a sense, we're business women too, because as an artist, it's not like you clock in, you clock out. You're constantly hustling for work. You're constantly negotiating. Like we have to be strong. And not to mention, you're constantly dealing with sexual harassment. Like you do not have space to be weak as a woman in entertainment at all.
No.
Which I think makes it hard sometimes. I was saying in the last podcast, like, I like being with a man that looks like he can kill somebody because
Oh, me too.
I want someone who's strong.
I want someone strong.
Yeah.
I want someone where I feel so secure
Yeah.
that I don't even have to lock my door.
Yeah.
I
for
want to be
sure.
so secure that I can like go out with a friend.
Yes.
Like that's how I was raised. I was raised where like
I guess me too.
my granny, she would be like, she didn't have to do anything but just like take care of the household and like utilities or whatever like that.
Yeah.
But like something needs to be fixed, my big
man
papa
can do
did
it.
it.
Yeah.
Like that's just the dynamics now. What's going on nowadays, I'm not knocking that. Like I'm
sure.
so open to all the new things in life. Like I'm so open to it, but I don't want that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and everyone's allowed
That's
to
the
their
only
own.
difference, yeah.
But and even for you, as I think for me too, like even I also could not be with a man who like it's hard for I don't really like dating like rich men because
Yeah.
I never want to be owned either.
Exactly.
Like I'm very like we
It's
go on
very,
this
like,
together.
ooh, yeah.
I want to pay my part of the bills.
Mm-hmm.
I never want to be with a man who's paying for everything for me.
Yeah.
Because I come from a very controlling background. I want to feel safe. I don't want to feel owned or controlled or in a prison.
Yeah, there's a difference.
There's a huge difference. And so like I'm assuming for you too, even if you had a man who could pay for everything and you could sit at home and just be a mom,
Yeah, but that's not gonna.
it's yeah. You still need, and that's the beautiful thing that women are allowed to work now.
Exactly.
I love working, obviously. Well, our work isn't really work.
But I was gonna say our work is not work.
Yeah.
So of course you love to work because it's like what you do. It's like your
it's
gift,
passion.
it's passion. You
Yeah.
know? Like, you know.
But it's crazy to think about how back in the day we wouldn't even be allowed to do this.
I know.
You know, and because women are allowed to work now, we can explore our passions. We can work. We can pay for our side of the bills, which is great. But I think that comes around to the point, even though we don't want to do all of it now. We don't want to be the man also.
Exactly. But to play devil's advocate, like, the women nowadays, they play a big part in this.
Yeah, I agree
Like,
completely.
it's just like, oh my goodness, like some of the women in my family, I'm like, if you keep this up, you're never gonna, like, you're gonna be by yourself forever.
Yeah, it's
I'm
so
like,
true.
it's just so hardcore, and I'm like, you guys, like, it's not, like, what are we doing?
It's insane. Well, and it's so destructive for the culture as a whole. Because any negativity period is just, you're just tearing down, it's no wonder we're having this collapse in society.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think it's like, I think something I've been learning in my therapy recently is that, like, I've learned if I want to be with a man who wants to commit to me wholly and wants to give his heart to me, I also have to be willing to give my heart to him. There is a point where, you know, like, pursue me, chase me, court me, but there's also a point where I have to be like, I have to be emotionally open and express my emotions and be vulnerable to him too. And I think for us as women, we've almost become so defensive because we've had to protect ourselves for so long that it's so hard to, like, even begin opening up because we're so used to constantly getting taken advantage of, especially, in all industries.
Yeah.
There's not a single industry where you can be a working woman and not go through harassment, not go through getting taken advantage of.
Especially
it's
a pretty
difficult.
woman.
Especially.
You know, that's like the big thing out here for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's like, the other day, I was just like running errands, and this guy, you know, he was trying to like get my number or whatever. But it was the way he was doing it.
Girl.
It was just so like, I asked him, I said, let me ask you something. He was like, and I'm like, do you have sisters? What's your relationship with your mother? He's like, oh, you're going too deep. I was like, exactly. Have a good day, sir.
Wow.
Like, you can tell, I can tell if they have a relationship with their mother
100%.
or if I can tell by the conversation or the way they approach me.
For sure.
And it's just like, we don't do that.
Yeah. Even if women were in power, they'd never be like, hey, yo, girl.
Right? Like, I'm like, geez.
Yeah.
Like, you
it's
know.
crazy.
But for me, because I have 2 girls.
Yeah.
I am.
Oh my gosh.
I like really like. I'm so like. It's just hard because they're watching everything.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You know.
Totally.
So like the other day, my 7-year-old literally said, "Mommy," she was like, "You'll never take a break from us," and I was like, "No, baby, never." She was like, "I know." She's like, "You do everything. Moms are the best. Moms, they do everything."
Wow.
And even though that sounds like, aw, I literally went to my room and cried because I was like, I don't want her to think that we do everything because then she's gonna grow up and think that she has to do everything.
Yeah.
And like, no.
Yeah.
That's not the dynamic here. We're not trying to like.
Rough.
We're trying to break this.
Yes. Yeah.
Like.
It's so well.
And it was so honest.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I was
that's
just
hard.
like. I was like, oh God, like, you know, but that's what she sees.
Yeah, and that's tricky because it's like, what are you supposed to do in that situation?
Exactly.
Because it has to be done for them.
Exactly.
But, you know, and that's why, like, you know, I had Saturday night off last night, and I didn't know what else to do other than go to the gym, which is in a sense part of my work.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to, I'm realizing more and more, I really don't know how to not work. I don't know how to, because my mom was the one who took care, like financially provided for us.
Okay.
You know, she put the food on the table.
Okay.
And so it's like, as a woman, I don't even know what else I would do if I wasn't working. And luckily, I love my job. But there's times where I'm like, damn, I need to take a break. But like, what would I even do?
What would you do? Yeah,
you know?
I know. That's
like,
kind of how I am too.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not working. Oh my gosh, I haven't booked anything. But then I'm like, Precious, every day you work with these kids.
Yeah.
I have to make sure Riley, my 7-year-old, I have to make sure she's doing well in school. You know, I'm starting to teach my 3-year-old. I'm trying to find, you know, a daycare for her. Like, it's a constant, I'm teaching, I'm like, that's work.
Yeah.
I'm actually working every day.
Oh my God, completely.
It's like full-time.
Yeah, for being a parent is like, that is the ultimate job.
You know? But
and you have two.
But like, I feel like in America, it's very like, oh no. Like, we don't look at it like that. We don't look at it as a job.
Which is sad because it's the most essential job you can do, really.
I know.
Well, and that's why it's interesting too that, you know, less people are having kids, which is probably good.
Really?
I think so. I think so. Maybe don't quote me on that, but I thought I heard that. Yes, okay, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and more people are more likely to, I was going to say die alone, but be single forever.
Like, oh yeah, the single I've seen.
Yes.
I've seen the single.
Yeah.
I've definitely. But I feel like when people do that, you're lazy. You don't want to do the work.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too.
Or you're very selfish and you want things your way, or this is what I want, and that's not the dynamic
That's
of
very true.
a partnership.
Yeah,
with
and
anything.
relationships and people are what cause you to grow as a person. Because that's, you know, when you die at the end of the day, that's what you really have.
Exactly.
You know, you can leave a legacy, but did you really have any? And I was saying this last time. I think I almost got into the most depression when I reached my goals. And then I was like, what else do I have? And that was last year. You know, I went on the tour and I had all the shows I wanted. I performed in all the big cities I wanted to, had a great apartment. And I was like, damn, like I achieved all these things. I have no one, you know, and I was still fresh in my friendships. I was like, I don't have a relationship. I don't have really close friends. Like, and now that I'm like successful in what I wanted to do, I'm alone because all I did was work.
Yeah.
And that was a huge eye-opening thing for me because this is the thing too. Hollywood is all about your image, your youth, your beauty, which fades for everyone. Even if you get plastic surgery, even if you find little loopholes around it, you're still gonna get old. You're still not gonna be looking the same as you were when you were 20. And if you haven't invested in your relationships, like, what are you're gonna be alone.
Yeah, yeah.
And luckily it's never too late to meet people and you know, but you have to put the work in.
Also, oh my gosh, girl, I tried these dating apps.
Oh.
I can't.
It's so bad.
I literally, my friend was getting on me the other day because she was like, I have 4 million followers and I still can't get on Raya because I literally just like applied for Raya and I just got in. And I'm like, oh, okay. And everyone's like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. I haven't even done the dang on profile yet. I'm so like, it's just fucking sitting there. My friends are like, well, then just make a profile so I can get on there. I'm like, okay. I'm so over it.
How is Raya?
I don't know because I haven't tried it. I just got accepted and I was like, okay.
That is so
like,
funny.
Let me meet you at Whole Foods, please.
Yeah.
Are you at Lassen's?
Girl, yeah, dating is dating is a challenge for sure.
It's like, ew. And now, you know, some people are successful with the whole dating apps. I know my friend got married.
Oh yeah, I mean, it can work. It can work.
You
can.
Just like,
it's a lot though. It is like kind of having a part-time job.
It is work.
Because you have to swipe through. Okay, who's here to fuck? Who's here to date? Like,
it's work.
Okay, let me go through your application. Like, okay, now let me set up appointments. Yeah. Like, I hate it. And
I hate it. So I tried. I was open. I tried, and I'm done.
That's, girl. I've deleted all those. You know, I met my Australian ex on a dating app.
Oh, yeah.
We're not together anymore.
I didn't know you met him on the app.
I did. Yeah, no, I was on the ship, and the very first week I joined, there's like some weird drama going on in the group, and I was like, oh no, like I only have these 5 people and I don't know if it's me. And it wasn't me. It was just weird dynamics going on that I had been thrown into. So I was like, okay, we're coming into port. I'm just gonna go jump on the app and like have some nice Australian man show me around and then say goodbye, you know? Because I was very intent on not hooking up with anyone, not getting in a relationship. I'm in Australia for 2 months, you know, on a ship, no less. But then we went on this 5-hour date, and then by the end, like we're traveling the world together, and then like, oh, I'm gonna marry him, and then I moved back to America, and I'm like, oh, I'm back to my real life, and you're on the other side of the world.
It's like reality.
Like, oh, this is not quite. Okay, it could have worked, but
for some,
like it. Yeah, I think when it came down to it, there were more foundational issues. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to be blunt about, I think the real reason it ended wasn't the distance. It was the fact that I think both of us have similar trauma issues of being afraid of opening up and being vulnerable and trusting somebody.
Okay.
And so we never went deep emotionally. You know, we did all these fun things, you know, we shared stories, but we never really got into, you know, what makes our heart hurt, you know, and when I came back, he never once told me he missed me. And, you know, do I think he did? I do, but you have to say that, you know, and he's half German too, so he came from a more,
so it's like a cultural,
a huge cult, which is why, like, I always say I only date American white boys. And people, I think they think it's like a racial thing. And the reality is, my parents were 2 different cultures. And as a kid, that was they were not on the same page about anything. And being told 2 opposite things and always getting in trouble.
That's rough,
It's so hard. And so for me, it's not like, oh, I'm just racist. It's like, I went through 20 years of that. I cannot go through another. We have totally different cultures. And we're bashing left and right. And if a kid comes into that and we're raising them on 2 different pages.
It's just not.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I feel like in the African American world, we need to stray away. And yes, we do.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this.
I call it chocolate lies. Now, I say this because we're so instilled with, we just want a black man. We want a black man. But it's like, why not just be very open? You never know.
Yeah,
it's like, why? Because I asked my friend, I said, why are you so like stuck on you have to be with a black man?
Wow.
And you know what she told me? She started talking about like her grandma and like the people that her mom dated. So it's really just like a generational, like I was saying, a generational thing. It's not they just want a black man. It's because that's what they seen.
Yeah, I mean, that's so true. I think too, for me, I'll be honest, part of it is my generational trauma of, in China, you know, you're kind of taught you have to marry up. That's the only way to survive as a woman. So if you can marry a rich white man and get out of there, you've like done your duty almost.
Oh, wow.
So mine is, I know it's like a DNA thing.
Okay.
But also, even so, because of my own trauma, it's like I just don't want to go through the cultural differences.
No, I understand that.
But I understand where you're coming from also, because that's a huge thing.
Open.
Yeah,
you know,
for
sure.
sure.
I feel like you're missing out on your blessing or whatever the universe has for you because you're so stuck on what you've experienced and what you've seen.
For sure.
And you feel like that's what it has to be. And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. Like you could be with an Indian man, I don't know, like, you know, and he probably will have the same, like, you know, things that you like to do or culture. And then people always say like a cultural thing, but it's like nowadays pop culture and hip hop is everywhere.
Yeah,
you know what
that's
I'm saying?
Very true.
Like we're pretty much a melting pot in America now.
Totally.
So I feel like that's pretty much like abandoned. You know?
Like, for sure. And I will say, my parents, being 2 different cultures, like they're still together. They've been through it, and like it's beautiful that they've lasted, and now they're good after 30 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
It is really cute. It's because as a kid, I was like, you guys need to get divorced. Like, what are you doing? And now I'm like, wow, like, I was wrong. Good for you for but I had to suffer though because of it, you know, because they were not on the same page, and that really came down on me. And you guys were still
living in the same household?
Eventually, I got kicked out, and that was the hard thing for me. Is like, I feel like my dad should have gotten the boot,
right?
And I did as a, you know.
And see, the one the one thing I thought about was my girls when I decided to make that move.
It's
I didn't think
so
about nothing
essential.
else. I didn't think about like the money,
Yeah.
how he would feel, how his mother would feel. All I thought about was
Yeah.
these girls and how they don't deserve this.
Yes.
I
It's
want
so
them.
true.
They still don't know anything. They think that mommy and daddy are still together, and it's cool that daddy has an extra place. Ooh, so cool. Oh yeah, because I told him. I said, listen. I said, if you gotta play pretend, then we're gonna play pretend when you come over here. I said, because we're gonna keep their little minds very clear and pure.
Wow.
Because they didn't ask to be here.
That's
so this is our
true.
shit.
Yeah.
So let's deal with our shit over here.
Oh my
And when we're together, because it's not like now I can see if like there was cheating and we hated each other, but it's none of that. So that's why
Yeah,
I'm like, oh no,
I see.
give me a hug.
You still have a good relationship.
Yeah, I'm like, let's like
that
for,
makes
for
sense.
them.
Yeah, that makes
Because,
a lot
like,
of sense.
You know, back in the day, like, I mean, I had a village, and that's the thing. I had a village back in the day.
Okay.
Like, I didn't have my dad, but it was weird because, like,
Interesting.
the city I lived in, he wasn't around, but he was around.
Okay.
Like, he wasn't around to take care of me and help out, but, like, he was around because the city is so small and everyone knew everyone. But I had my village. My
Yeah.
mom had my grandma, like 3 of my grandmas, my grandpas, aunts, uncles. Like, I had a village.
Oh my gosh.
So to
yeah.
come out here and not
No such thing.
have a village.
Wow. Oh my god.
And I have 2.
Yeah.
Now, with 1, it's like, because I was the only child, I'm like, okay, cool. But with 2, they
Yeah.
get to arguing. I don't know what to do. I'm like, everyone getting a big old shirt and makeup. I don't know.
Wow.
Like, it's so,
yeah.
like, you know, like, so I have to, like,
Yeah.
ask friends, like, you know, to
Oh my
help
gosh.
out. Or, like, give me like, advice, because I'm like, I don't know. I had
Yeah.
imaginary friends.
Yeah. Oh, how
I'm
funny.
like, I don't even
yeah.
know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
2 girls too.
Yeah.
I've noticed, like, when growing up, all my friends had sisters, and I had a brother.
Okay.
And me and my brother never, to this day, we got along so easily. But I always saw the girls, and they were always at it. And at first, I was like, oh man, I got a brother, not a sister. And now I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, thank God. Because I think there's that competitiveness, and it's you know,
It's
it's a lot more intense.
Oh,
so.
it's intense. I'm like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's crazy.
So, but I understand what you're saying because, you know, I was Christian when I was married. So getting a divorce was like, and I hate it. To this day, I hate it when people who have not yet been married say, when I get married, it's going to be forever. Like, I'm not.
I hate when
and I'm
people
just
say
like,
that.
how dare you?
Yeah.
Like you don't think I went
was
into
gonna
it
say,
being
like,
like,
and
no, I'm
yeah.
going to get a divorce. Like, and I used to say
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, I would never. But until you go all the way
And you're in
and
it.
you understand, and you understand it is not black and white, you cannot speak on it at all.
Yeah.
And the number one reason I left my husband was because we had the dog together.
Okay.
And I'm not going to go too much into it, but there were, it was one thing when I felt that I was in danger, but when I realized she was in danger,
Okay.
that was an absolute no for me. And the fear of what if I got pregnant even on an accident? He wanted to have kids already. I didn't, but I knew, like, of course, if I got pregnant, and again, being Christian, I was very not abortion at that time. And I was like, it is as much of a responsibility of a woman what you give them as a dad. It is
Like,
equally important.
Oh my goodness. Like, that's why I won't put him on child support. Because let me tell you something. When he walks through that door, you would have thought Michael Jackson, Jesus, and Prince all walked in in sparkling matching suits. Like, they can't believe he's happening. Like, their relationship, I wish I had that with my dad.
Wow.
I wish I had just a little ink, like, I wish.
Oh my
So I would never. I wouldn't, that's like, don't touch.
Yeah.
I don't care what my mom says, his mom, like, I don't care what anyone says. Like, I do what I do for my kids.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, yeah, it might help me, my rent or whatever.
For sure.
But it's going to hurt them.
Yeah, and it's not worth it.
And it's
It
not
is
worth it.
not worth it at all.
It's not worth it. It's
Yeah.
like, why?
No.
You know? Like,
Yeah, it's Well, and that's why, you know, it's so funny you didn't want to be a mom.
No.
Because you so much make sense as a mom.
And that's crazy because, like, growing up, I was the only child. I was spoiled. I got whatever I want.
How
I used to
funny.
beg my mama to have a job because all my friends had jobs. She's like, you don't need a job. Even when I was in the ballet company in Texas, she paid my rent.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I was spoiled.
So how did you become a mom?
So
like,
when
did you guys decide on it, or was it an accident?
No, it was an accident. So when I met him, I was like go-go dancing in like one of the clubs, and it was more of, I actually liked his friend.
Get out.
And this is when I used to work at Hooters and Playhouse.
Get out.
So then, like, his friend was like, oh, we're going to Vegas, because his friend was like, at the time signed with G Unit, like 50 Cent in them. So I was all like, oh my God. So I told my Hooter girls, I'm like, let's go to Vegas with them. So we all went to Vegas. And luckily, like, because like my girl squad, we're very much like, we're together.
Yeah.
So like, even if you like a guy, you don't go venture off with him. We're gonna stay together. Okay. So we did that. So no one did anything with anyone. So it was like completely just like harmless.
Yeah.
But a year later, he came to the club I worked at.
A year later.
Yeah, and we connected. But I was like, oh, like he's the homie. Of course you can have my number, like whatever. He took me on a date. It was super cute. It was like for his he was like acting at the time, so he did like a short film, and we went to the theater and seen it, and I was really into it because I'm into the arts, so that really made him be like, wow, she's actually into it, and it was just such a cute date, and like we just like it was effortless for the first 5 years. I mean, like flowers, like I'm not even joking. For the first 5 years, he would just give random flowers. He was his love language is acts of service. So like, he knew what I needed. I'll come home and I'll have it. You know, on my birthday, he took me to Catalina, and then he had like a box of like Skittles, like different things that I like. It was like meaningful things.
Wow.
It was like perfect. And then when I found out I was pregnant, we had like split up. Yeah.
Before or after?
No, before. So I was going through a lot of emotions because I was pregnant, but I didn't know.
Oh, wow.
And we broke up. Like we lived
gosh.
separately. But he ended up moving out of the state, and I was like freaking out. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I'm like, I'm emotional. I thought I was just like emotionally messed up. I go to the doctor to get like the pap smear, and that's when they're like, when last time you come on your period? And I was like, I'm irregular, I'm a dancer. And they're like, okay, well, we're gonna get this Doppler and check for a heartbeat. And I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, oh my God. So like, they check and like, there's a heartbeat and there's a baby. And he's like, oh, you're about 5 months long. So at that point, I was like, oh, so I don't even have a choice. I gotta go downstairs. It was like, you're having a baby, let's go downstairs and get blood work. And then they tried to give me this package, this like, welcome, new mom. I was like, no. I was like, I don't want it. And she was like, she literally was like, okay.
Oh my God.
I was so dramatic. I was like, my life is over.
Oh my God.
5 months. I was
That's
5 months.
insane.
In January, I'll never forget this, 2017.
Holy
the beginning
shit.
of the year, that was mine.
That's so crazy. Well, that's so funny because I was just saying to Art the other day, like, or not the other day, this morning when we were setting up, I was like, yeah, I don't really think you get to choose if you get to be a parent. Because you can plan everything perfectly and find out you're infertile.
Yep.
Or you can absolutely not plan at all and not even know that you're pregnant.
That's so true.
It's like, it's really not really up to us.
It's not up to us. It's not up to us. Now, the second child, I wanted.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, I was begging for a second child.
Really?
And he's like, no, money, meh. And I'm like, no, I want a kid. I want another kid because I didn't want her to be like the only child like how I was, you know? Like I have 3 brothers on my dad's side, but I didn't grow up with them. So I didn't want her, I knew what it felt like to be the only child.
For sure.
And I didn't want that for her.
Yeah.
And so he finally was like, okay, fine. So as soon as he said, okay, fine, literally that day, I was like, come on, let's go.
Oh
I'm
my
like, come on, let me grab the hips. Come on.
Wow.
And then like a week later, I was pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you were not messing around.
So like, it's like, I don't know.
You were like
which is
meant to be a
weird.
mom.
I feel like,
Yeah.
I feel like it because like
100%.
I have some friends that like try, they're married,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
financially like great, and they can't.
Yeah. I'm a big believer that like you are either meant to or you're not.
Yeah.
Period. No matter how hard you try to plan or try to not plan, it will find you if it's meant to be.
Oh, absolutely. And it's crazy because like I was the only child and I was spoiled.
Yeah,
So the
that's
fact
so-
that like universe chose me to
Yeah.
be a mother, like I was scared with my first because I was like, I could barely take care of my dog and myself. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? But as soon as she came, she literally changed my life and my career.
Wow.
Like my agents watched her.
Oh
They
my
supported me. They wanted me to come back.
Mm.
I booked so much, Alyssa. Oh my gosh, I worked so much.
That's so crazy.
Like, so I don't think having kids is gonna hinder your career. No.
Yeah, that's
Especially if you're already like career goal, like if you're already in it, it's just gonna make it better.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's gonna make it
your
better.
career got even better.
It really
and,
did. It
you
really
know,
did.
and it
I
clearly hasn't been a hindrance in your relationship with your kids either. So that's
no,
amazing.
they're fine. They're just so innocent. They have no, they're just,
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
my daughter, she's into it. And I'm like, ugh. So when she was younger, like I would put her in stuff, but she was young.
Okay.
But now that she's 7, like she was going on auditions where she had to like read sides.
Oh, wow.
And it got really hard for her because like she's 7.
Yeah.
And she doesn't go to acting class. And so her agent was like, put her in acting school, acting class, find some acting classes, and then, we'll send her out again. And I'm
Yeah.
like, totally fine. But I'm thinking in my head, okay, great. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna do something else. So I kept telling her like, yeah, gymnastics, babe. This is, but she wants to act.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, ugh. And I keep trying to stray her away, but she wants to do it.
Yeah,
She wants to do it.
She knows.
So it's like then I have to find an acting school for her because she wants to do it. That's why on my social media I do so much content with my kids.
I see.
Because they want, like, if I can videotape
Yeah.
BTS, like they want to, like my 3-year-old would, she'd be like, "Mommy, let me see the playback." She says playback.
Oh my
This girl, and she'll
gosh.
sit there and she'd be like, she'd be like, that was funny.
Oh my God, how funny.
Like she wants to do it.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny because I think we were talking in rehearsal. It might have been before you came in that one day, but we were saying how creating a social media for your baby is like kind of exploitive, Like I wouldn't want my baby pictures
some
out
people
there.
don't. Yeah, some people are not.
No.
Yeah.
But I think it is different if because I think it comes down to choice,
I think so too.
And I think if your kid knows that's what they want and this is like a good thing for them and it's like they've kind of made that decision themselves already.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? And you can kind of guide and create it and make it safe,
Exactly.
So, but I think it's a lot different when you're posting like your infant child and like
that's
creating
a little
whole.
much.
It's a bit much.
That's
It's
a bit much. That's a
so.
bit much. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Now, with my first one, I was just excited, so I'm like.
Yeah,
But my
well, that makes
second
sense
one,
too.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I didn't like. If I did post her, I would like blur out her face.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I just
makes
felt
sense.
like she doesn't know.
Yeah, they don't. You don't want to have. Like, I just think about babies who like will end up having these Instagrams of 1 million followers, and then like when they're older, be like.
Well, it's funny because the church I go to, there's a lot of celebrities that go there, right?
Okay.
So my little girl is friends with Dream, what's his name? The Kardashian, Rob Kardashian's
okay.
daughter. She goes there with her mother.
Yeah.
And one day I was watching the Kardashians, and she's seen her on TV. Riley, my 7-year-old, did. She's like, "Oh my God, that's Dream." She's like, "Mommy, be quiet. I want to hear what she's saying." She wasn't really saying much. She was just like kind of there.
Yeah.
So then when we went to church, she was like, "Dream, oh my gosh, I seen you on TV." And I thought that she was gonna be like, "Yeah, because, whatever." She wasn't.
Really?
It was like,
Oh.
yeah. So that got me thinking. I was like, man, I would never, not saying that they're, I don't know their situation.
Yeah.
But like, I would never put my child in that type of situation.
So much pressure, I think.
It is.
And if it's
and
not,
if I do something like that, I'm not gonna have them in the public eye so accessible like that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Totally.
It's very like, I don't know.
It's a very fine line that you've got to kind of dance. But I think the important thing is that you do dance it and you don't just like fully blast your kid out there, you know?
No. Like
so,
every time they're on the internet, it's because, especially if it's a video,
yeah,
they want, like
sense.
the last one I posted, I actually want to do another like content thingy, but I posted that one because that was the first time I seen like my dishes and the dish rack like clean, like nothing.
Oh,
so I was looking myself like, dang, like go ahead, P, you're on a roll today. And then my 7-year-old comes in and she was like,
oh my gosh.
they're so dramatic. She said, and so I'm like, what is it?
Oh my
gosh. What is it? And she's like, look. She's like, oh my goodness. And I'm like,
gosh,
and I'm like, stay right there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, how
you know,
cute.
like so a lot of times that's how like the whole video comes about because like they'll do something and I'm like, and then they want to do it. They're like, you're gonna videotape. And then she's like, okay, Miney, so you do this and I do that. So like I don't even have to like direct.
Yeah, totally.
I'm just like, okay, and I'm like laughing at them because I'm like, this is crazy, but they love it.
And some kids are like, they are made for it. Like you see some of those videos and you're like, this kid is like a little professional actor already.
So I'm like, all right.
You know, and it is cool. They can do that within the comfort of their home.
Yeah.
Because too, the acting world for kids is, I think it's so dangerous.
It's so dangerous.
And that's what's great that you're in entertainment.
But I feel like now that a lot of people have been exposed,
there's a lot more
maybe
light.
it's different.
Hopefully. And if not, it's at least, it's bound to change.
Yeah.
There's so much more coming to light now that it's going to have to change, thankfully. So, and I think that's the beautiful thing about being a parent in entertainment is you know what's going on. You can be there and guide them through.
Oh, I absolutely know what's going on. So I'm like, but you know, we'll see.
Yeah,
she still wants to.
Yeah, you're like, oh boy.
I'm like, okay. She's like, yeah, Mommy, I'm almost a teenager, and I'm going to be a gymnast, and I'm going to be an actress, and I'm going to go to nationals. I'm like, girl, okay.
She's calling it out for herself now.
I'm like, oh gosh. Like, oh, it's happening. I'm not ready.
It's so funny though how like kids are like a reflection of you, you know.
Because
like,
that's how I was when I was young.
Yep, there I can see it.
I'm gonna be a ballerina in the company.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna be the only ballerina in New York City Ballet, and I'm the only black one in it. I was so.
Oh my.
I was like a crazy person, and here I am, an aerialist and a dancer in LA.
Exactly.
Would have never thought.
Exactly. I was the same way, which is why I know if I have a kid, I'm like, oh God. I don't know about
Especially if you like get pregnant and you're still doing your
for sure.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
I stopped at 7 months with my second, and I stopped at 5. I stopped like when I found out with her because I was just like, oh my God, I gotta go home.
Yeah.
But with my second, I stopped at 7 months.
Wow.
I was working.
That's wild.
Dancing.
Damn, that's crazy.
I didn't do aerial though. I stopped aerial, like maybe like 2 months.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because, like, I don't know, I felt like that was like strained.
Yeah, that one's a bit.
Yeah.
Dancing makes sense.
But dancing, I just kept.
Aerial, I couldn't. I'd be like.
Ugh. Yeah. I mean, some people do, but I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. I don't think I could.
And my doctor was like, you do what?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, let's not do that.
Don't. No.
It's safe.
To the Q&A, I always let the guys ask some questions because I think it's great having a male perspective, but especially too. Okay, Sky really has a question. Okay. Go ahead.
Have you dated black guys and white guys?
Oh.
I have, so my baby's father, that was my first real like boyfriend.
Okay.
So I guess I've only dated black. Now I've like seen a white guy before, but we weren't like dating. It was like we went out for a like dinner date.
It didn't go very far.
It didn't go far, but it wasn't, I like him. It wasn't like, you know, because of the color of his skin. It was just, he was busy, I was busy. Yeah. But I was nervous.
Why?
Because I've never dated outside my race.
Oh.
Interesting.
Or even like went out on a date outside my race. So I was very nervous. And the first thing I did ask him was, are you obsessed with black women.
Interesting.
And he looked at me and he was like, he kind of looked at me like, bitch. Like, he was just like, it's like, no.
How
And I was like, okay,
funny.
great. And then we just like connected. And like, it's funny because a lot of like cultural things that, you know, black women would think like, oh no. But he's like into Nas and like he's into old school rap. Like it was like,
Okay.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it had nothing to do,
Yeah.
you know. That's why I was saying, I feel like African American women, we need to be more open to dating outside our race. Like it's okay. Like no one's gonna like whoop
Yeah.
you with a paddle. Like you don't have to. I feel like growing up in like, because I grew up in the Midwest, so it was very like black and white. I didn't have Asians in my school, anything. It was very black and white. It was like
wow.
maybe like 1 or 2 Asians, no Spanish people.
Because you're from Minnesota.
No, Cincinnati,
Cincinnati, of
Ohio.
course, okay.
So it was very black and white. So I feel like everyone was very like, no, you're gonna be with black. So like when my friends come out here and they see interracial couples and how no one messes with them, they're like, where do you live at?
Huh?
They can't believe it to this day.
Wow.
Because to this day, say if me and you were
Crazy.
dating, we would go to Cincinnati, we will have looks. Absolutely.
Oh my God.
To this day.
Wild.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my head around
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's insane.
I
I don't
know.
know if my question is applicable then, but I was going to ask you what's the main difference between dating like white guys and black guys?
I don't know because I've only like experienced one guy and I feel like, I mean, I feel like nowadays a lot of African American men are broken. Now, I'm not saying they're all broken. I'm just saying because of what's been going on and all the things with the police and I feel like a lot, like that's why I was like, it's okay to go to therapy and heal, but they don't, a lot of them, and they like turn to like drugs or over sexualizing women, you know what I'm saying, or like music, but not like degrading music, instead of like having a community and like coming together, kind of like what we do. I feel like that would help them because I know a lot of them, like I know my brothers, they need therapy, they're not gonna go because they feel like that's weak. And I'm like, no, what you're doing is weak right now. It's okay to get help.
Yeah.
So I feel like right now, like in America, like in 2024, there's a lot of broken African American men, and I feel like it also has to do with their upbringing and like what they went through and they never healed from it. And I feel like as women, we go through that too, but I feel like there's so much man bashing nowadays that they just feel like, where do they stand? I feel like that's what my brothers are going through. They're like, oh sis, oh man, you're doing so well in California. But it's like, you can do it too.
Yeah.
You know, but they feel like they can't because, oh, I'm a black man. No, you can. You can have dreads. You can, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I want to like help in that sense, but I also want to be open to dating outside my race because it's always been instilled, be with a black man. Like, if I was to bring home another race, like, oh my gosh, they would.
Yeah, would your family be cool with that?
Well, yes, they'll be cool with it, but no, because like, you know, you will feel like, okay, they're like they'll make jokes, but it's not funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like,
yeah.
So, like, I feel like, of course, since my family's very cool, they'll be like, oh, hey, Jeff, or whatever, but they're still gonna be like racist, because they do that to me. They literally do that to me. They'll be like, I'll tell them I booked something. They're like, oh, you the only black one? I'm like,
Wow.
what? I was like, and then I'm like, yeah. They're like, uh-huh. I'm like, why? How did we go there?
Oh my God.
How do we go there? I told you that I like am dancing with Kanye and you want to know I'm the only black one. Like, you know, so
Crazy.
it's
That's
a generational
wild.
curse that needs to be.
Yeah.
Because we don't see it a lot in big cities like New York and LA because there's just so many different cultures. But I'm telling y'all, when y'all go back in the Midwest, like middle of America, it is still so bad.
I'm from a small town in Missouri, so yeah, I remember
So
going
you-
back there pretty recently, and there was like an interracial couple, like some dude in a pickup truck was like yelling shit at them.
That's what I'm saying.
A couple of years
Wow.
ago.
That's
It's
crazy.
like
It's-
you get in a time machine.
It is a time, yeah. And it's crazy
Damn.
because with my kids, they have no, like now my 7-year-old kind of has an idea of like black and white, but she still says beige and brown. And when I go home, my family's like, you need to tell her it's black and white. I'm like, no, it's okay because I'm not black, I'm brown. You're not white, you're beige. If we want to be technical about it. And they're like, no, that's not right. And I'm like, it is. I know. But her school taught her that here.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, they don't, I'm telling y'all, in these schools, well, I know the school that she goes to, the charter school, they don't, race is not, it is like the last.
Good.
So when we go home, she gets very nervous around little black girls.
Wow.
I'm trying to break that. I don't know why. I don't know. They're not mean to her. Sometimes they'll call her a white girl because of, you know, where she lives at and like how we raise her. But I noticed Riley gets very like uncomfortable, and she's a very social person. And I think it's just the energy.
Yeah. I mean, I get, you know, weirdly enough, I get that because my family is from Michigan. And so my mom's side, they're all strawberry blonde, super white. And I remember in 6th grade going and standing with my cousins and realizing how dark I was, being tan and Asian, and being like, oh my God, like, I'm different. And I don't.
I think that's what it is. She's like, whoa, I'm different.
Yeah.
And I always tell her, I'm like, it's okay to be different.
Yeah.
Like, you know, one little girl was like, why she talk like that? And I was like, well, you live in Ohio and we live all the way across the country. I was like, that's far, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I'm like, yeah, so things are very different over there.
Just
I was like, we live in
crazy.
a desert. You have 4 seasons. I really wanted to say something else, but I was just like trying to like, you know. But, you know,
sure.
and it's also like how we raise our kids and teach our kids too.
Totally.
You know, I'm telling them it's okay to say brown and beige because I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'll say that too,
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
Versus being like, no, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it lessens that gap.
yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I really want Art to ask some questions because he's also a dad of 2 girls.
No, a little
Girl
girl and a boy.
and boy. Yeah.
I'm from the Midwest as well, he and I. But what exactly do you mean by broken? I'm just curious.
Their spirit, because for my experience with the black man that's in my life, they don't feel like they have a place anymore in America. Like you know how we have goals and we you know succeed. Like they it's like they're scared because of like what people say or put into their minds. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like broken in a sense like you're broken, but it's more like a spiritual thing, I feel like, or what I experienced.
Yeah, sometimes I just think there's a misconception with black men, because I'm a teacher as well.
Oh, yeah.
I taught in Santa Monica, I taught in Orange County, and there's probably more racism that kids experience in Orange County than the Midwest.
Really?
The N-word, the hard R, what's going on.
Really?
Where there's African American kids who don't even want to identify as African American.
I've heard about that too.
And also, I feel like sometimes like people, there's a misconception that, and I think this is probably due to the media, that there's a lack of leadership in African American, especially amongst men. But I don't think that's true, because I also sit on the board of the Black Student Union, and there's a huge network of men just guiding and leading, and there's communities, there's programs.
But you know what? I think they're looking at, and this is a problem in America, they're not looking at that. And that's my problem with the Black Lives Matter. They're looking at the overall. So they're looking at the Al Sharptons. They're looking at the Obamas. Not enough leaders. But it's like, hey, Al Sharpton only comes around when there's an issue. What about Jim and Bill that's in the community in Cincinnati that's helping out these boys, you know, for free? You know, we don't talk about that. They just want to talk about like the big people, you know. I feel like that's what it is, because I agree with you. When I go back home, a lot of my African American guy friends that used to be football players in high school and now they're like older, they like do so much in the community with these boys, and it helps out so much to keep them out of trouble, and they're just good leaders. But we don't talk about that, you know. So
I just think for the African American men, I think there's a stereotype that kind of weighs us down opposed to uplifting us. And there's a lot of good men out there.
there is, but there's more that you know what it is. It's the rap. It starts there. It's them.
Wow.
It's them, because then it trickles down to like the young boys, and they want to be rappers. They want to be a football player, basketball player. Why not be a scientist? What's wrong with being a scientist? You go to any like African American based town and you ask these boys what do they want to be when they grow up, 95% of them are going to say they want to be a rapper, a football player, or an athlete. They're not going to say, I want to be a biologist. I want to be, I don't know, a dentist.
And also, I'm assuming, I know I've worked with a lot of the big rappers in LA. I'm assuming you have also. And I'm curious to know what's your experience been?
I just recently worked with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, and that actually was a really good experience.
Okay. I've had
But
good
I
experiences
feel like
too,
they're
but I've
good
heard
men.
that also.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're professional.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just talking about the ones that are up and coming. Because the up and coming, I haven't worked with them, but my friends have, and they say it's very, it's like rough.
Yeah.
But like I've never, like I worked with Kanye and it was fine.
Yeah, I've worked with like Anderson .Paak and everything, and Shaggy and stuff, and they've been great.
Yeah.
But I have heard stories about other artists that are not.
The problem is, for some reason, they're like outweighing the good.
That's
in
true.
Black men.
That's so true.
They really are.
Yeah.
So then that's why we get this in America, because you're right, there are a lot of great black men out there, but we don't see
More
that because
recognition.
it's so much of this. Like all this like degrading, and it's always the black man. So then
It's not always black man.
it's not always the black man, but majority. So then you come to my hometown, and now the white lady is scared of you. She's walking across the street, because that's happened before. It happens in Cincinnati. But she exactly. But they're doing that because of what they see on TV. They're not doing that because Jim down there is supporting the little black boys in the community. They're doing that because they're seeing, like,
Wow.
all these rappers degrading and just being just ill. Diddy, all them, like, you know what I'm saying? That's what they're watching and then comparing.
Well, there has to be some kind of blame on the media. There has to be some kind of blame on the system. The system is very systemic. So I think it's a lot deeper than just the rap artists and the media. And I also feel like there's more positive than negative. And I feel like that's why you have to put the blame on the media. There's a lot of things going on, and we have programs like in South LA, Fernando Fulham, all different kind of great things. I live in LA, live in Inglewood as well. There's amazing things going on, especially here in California. But I feel like,
But we don't talk about it. And it's not.
But it's definitely happening.
It's definitely happened. My baby's father, he does qigong, so he goes to the okay. So what do you call the tower house? The houses, the homes after the inmates after they get out of jail and they have to go into this. Yeah. So he does meditation with like 3 halfway houses in South Central, and he loves it. He said when he first started, they were very like, who are you? Like not into it. But he said like a year now, they can't wait for him to come over there.
Wow.
And like they'll do it sometimes on their own.
Oh my gosh.
So like there's a lot of positive. We just don't hear about it.
Yeah.
Because it's very like, all these rappers and the media, and I just, like I felt like it's always been like that because that's like America, but it's just gotten worse. It's gotten worse. It wasn't like yes, you're gonna have this. It was like this when I was younger, but I just feel like it's just, I feel bad. And you know what's crazy? I was afraid that my second child was gonna be a boy. I didn't want her to be a boy because I'm afraid to raise a little black boy in America.
Fuck, damn.
And I know for real, I was scared.
I mean, I'm not like.
because you're a black man, so like, of course you're not scared because you're like, I know what to do. But as a black woman, like I was scared, because like it's like they're not wanted here. It's just so like, it's just gotten so bad, and I'm just trying to understand, like, what can we do to make it better? You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to always go to the big leaders. Like, we can start small. Like I was telling her, like, if they had something in Cincinnati for men that are our age to come together, you know, and just like talk amongst themselves and just have like moments so they can get through whatever they want to get through, instead of talking to like, you know, random therapist lady or man or whatever. But maybe one day.
Yeah. Yeah, well, starts by talking about it, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
step one, so.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like there has to be an action. I don't know, like when I go back home, that's what I do. I meet up with people, I have conversations with them, I guide them as much as I can. But I feel like those things are happening. Maybe you just don't know about them, but it has to be happening.
It's happening, but it's just not, but I need it to happen. It's happening, it is, but more. We need more. We need more. I know, because I go home. I have 3 brothers that are so bad, they don't have to be. They weren't raised that way. They actually had their mom and their dad
Wow.
in the house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they just want to be, they want to be so thug, and they want this life so bad, and you would have thought that they grew up that way, and they didn't. They got everything they wanted when they were younger.
Wow.
But that's all. I worked in Santa Monica. That was the Latino community. I seen white kids go through the same thing. The same thing. I work in Orange County now. I see the exact same thing. All of them, and they're all influenced by hip hop culture.
That's
They all want to be. So it's not just African American kids. It's kids. All these kids are influenced
by the hip hop culture, yeah.
And I see them doing the exact same thing. Kids back home, African American kids were doing, running the streets and doing this and that. I see them doing the exact same thing. I see them getting killed in Santa Monica. I see it happening in Orange County as well.
So why do they broadcast us? They you know what I'm saying? Because you're saying all these things, and I believe you, but
Well, it's in the Midwest. They're broadcasting because it's the hip hop culture is affecting African American kids. Out here, I see it when it's broadcast. I see the kids that I was teaching a few years ago who graduated. I see them. I don't see African American. I see probably more other cultures than my own culture on TV here.
okay. Do you think it's because like LA is just so many different cultures that, because I feel like, I don't know about you, but when I go home, you can feel the racism.
I feel racism. I feel the depression.
But I don't feel that out here.
Yeah, not
But
LA.
that's how it is. It's just black and white there, and it's just we were taught out there to oppose each other. Out here, it's more of a melting pot. Everybody comes here because of their reason.
Now, your wife or your baby's mother, is she African American? Okay. Because I was going to say, if she was white, like, how was that going home? Because I know my friend, his wife is Asian, and when he went home or went to New York to visit her family just did not accept him. And the grandma,
Asians are.
I dated Asians, I dated white, I dated Latino, and I brought them all home. And my family didn't have it. My family's from the hood. Like, I mean, my brothers don't like from prison. Most of my family, like for real, like BMF, like part of that organization, like no problem. That's just how my family is.
And that's how my family is too, but like my family's like that too, but then, because I've watched them when like my uncle would bring home like a white lady, like they accepted her, but they were still like underlining, and I'm like, guys, come on, you
I
know.
think my only thing with love is when people go, oh, I'm not going to date this race because of this, or date this race. Everybody's different.
Everybody is different.
Love is love because in the inside we're all the same color.
Yep.
It's because we're culturally different, that shouldn't separate. If anything, we should learn from each other.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah. On that note, I think I've always wanted to do a part 2, but this one I think we need a part 2, so I may have to plan for that. I think we may be like very well over time, and I know you have to go. So I feel like we should probably, I don't want to, but I think we should probably cut it here. And maybe we'll do another episode where we get you mic'd up also, and we do like a...
Because that's like a real thing.
I think this is a
I'm
good
telling
topic.
y'all, we live out here,
Yeah.
and we have no idea what is going on
Yeah,
in middle
yeah.
America. And it is, like, my mom lives in Louisville. You
Mm.
guys, it's so bad that I, like, when I wear my hair naturally like this, oh my, I get so many looks, you guys.
Wow.
It's crazy. But then if I put my hair in a top knot, hi, how you doing? How you doing? Have a great day. But when and I'm just like, oh, we're still here.
Damn,
Like,
that's crazy.
It's like night and day, which is
Yeah.
weird because like it's America, you know, like we're all in America,
Yeah.
but it's so different.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
We're definitely gonna have to do a part 2. I'm gonna have to call you back in, and we'll set it up to mic you up next time also, because I think this is. I was like, damn, I don't want to cut it, but also
Yeah, no, yeah.
we got time limit going on. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on.